What's up everyone, I'm Andrew, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create your own fully customized headers using the Elementor nav menu widget. So let's get started. So basically we have this website which is from one of our tutorials where we build a complete learning courses website using LearnDash, and here we are going to create a unique header for it. So it's using the default header from Neve, which is very cool, but we are going to add our own custom header using the Elementor nav menu widget. So before starting, I just want to point out that you do need the pro version of Elementor to have access to these features. You cannot, unfortunately, do it with the free version. So let's get started. So we are going to bring admin panel and templates and theme builder. Now you do need to have the pro version of Elementor to have access to this theme builder, but then you can just click on it and we are going to select header. Now you can create footer, single post templates or single page templates and many more things, but we are just going to create a header and focus on how you can create a beautiful header. So let's just click on header. Now as you can see, we can import a pre-made header. We are not going to do this. They are good for getting ideas and seeing how we can create different type of headers, but we are going to start from scratch. Now this is the default Elementor page. Now I have this navigator on the right. If you're not seeing it, you can just click on this navigator icon here and put it on the right, and now we can just start creating our header. So the way we are going to do this is to just have a 2-column or 3-column layout here, and then we can just place different items there. This is pretty much the standard way of creating a header using Elementor. So I'm just going to create a 2-column layout here. So we have a section here and 2 columns. We can just add more columns if we want to later. So basically we want to put our logo here and our menu links there, but first we want to make it full width. So as you can see, it's a box layout, and because we have lots of items here, we want to change it from box into full width. Now this is not mandatory, and if you want to have a minimal layout, it's just better to just stay with box, but here we have lots of items, so we want a lot of room, so I'm just going to choose full width. And now we have to put our content here. Now we want to put our site logo here. We can use this site logo, which automatically uses the logo you upload to WordPress, but sometimes it can have problems, and you can also use the image instead. We are just going to use image, but the site logo is just for displaying your own site logo, but it doesn't really make a difference here. So we can just put our image here. So we have it here, and now I can just select my logo like this and give it all this room here, and this is nice. We have our logo here. Now I do want to make a link to our homepage, so we can just simply grab the URL and put it in the link section. So I can just open this link and set it to a custom URL and just paste the link here, so that when people click on it, it just brings the front page. I also want to have some kind of hover effect. Now we do have one here by default, and as you can see, it's getting lighter when I hover over it, but we can just override it any way we want. For example, you can just make your normal style grayscale by just selecting CSS filter and setting the saturation to 0, so you get a grayscale logo, and then you can just select hover, and in the hover just reset it. So we just set the saturation into 100, and now as you can see, we have this effect. Now one other thing you can do is to just select normal and CSS filter and just set it into the default mode, so 100 saturation for the normal, and just increase the saturation and maybe brightness in the hover mode. So we can just increase the saturation and a little brightness in the hover mode, so we get this effect. This is also a nice thing to do, so I'm just going to stick with this. Then we want to display our links here. We can manually build the links, but we have this nav menu widget which we are going to use, and it's going to automatically display all of your menu links and also your child menu items. So that's super cool. So we have lots of options for it which we are going to customize. Now starting from the content, I only have one menu here, my main menu, so I cannot change it here. But if you have several menus, you can just select the menu you want. Then we have the layout. It's by default horizontal. You can change it into vertical like this. So if you want to have, for example, put it there, 2 columns here, and on the left you can just have your menus and your main content on the right. But I'm just going to stay with this horizontal, and you can just set it to drop down, which is the default style for mobile devices. Let's just stay with horizontal. Then we have the alignment, so we can just align it to the left, which is the default alignment, or center, or right, or stretch. So you have pretty much good options here. We have the pointers, so by default it's just going to underline my menu items. We have oval line or double line, or background. You can change the background color or text. We are just going to use this framed, so we get this frame effect. Now it does not have any animation here because the animation is set to fade, so it's just going to appear here and fade. But we can just change it into draw, that we get this nice drawing effect, so that's cool. Now we have this submenu indicator, so by default we have this icon, which is just cool. I think we are not going to remove it, so it's just fine. You can also change it into different versions, but this is just fine for me. We have the breakpoint for mobile and tablet, so this is just fine. So by default, as you can see, we have this desktop view, and if I just change my mode in this responsive mode and switch to tablet, you can see that we get this, and for mobile we get this, so it's cool. You can also change this icon or change its place. So for example, you can just align it to the left or to the right, so that's just cool. And then in the style, we can just change various things and colors. So for example, I can just change my color here. So we have this black color here. And I can also set dividers if I want to. We have the style and width and height and color. We have the options for the drop down. So as you can see, we can change the color here. And for the hover, we can just change the text color and pointer color. So let's just set it into a purple color. I can also grab the color from there. So it's going to display the colors. I can just click on it and it's selected. So I'm just going to use the same color here. And we can just copy the code there and just put it for the pointer color. And we can just copy the code and just paste it there. So we have it. Now we have this purple color. Now we can control the sizing and the space between elements. So I'm just going to give them more space here so that this effect is not overlapping with its sibling items, and that's cool. So we have our basic menu. Now you are not limited to using 2 columns only. You can have 3 columns. For example, if we want to have a search bar or a custom button, we can just add another column. So it's just very simple. We can just grab one of these columns and duplicate it and just simply remove the content like this. So we have an empty column here. And now we can just place anything we want. So we have this search form. If you want to have a search functionality, you can just put it there. But I'm just going to add a custom button here. So let's just delete this search form. You know how to use it. And I'm just going to search for button. And just add this custom button here. And let's just change the text into start now. You can have your sign in registration button here as a special button. So it's just very nice. And now I can just bring a style. And first of all, of course, like always, I'm just going to change the border radius. And we can also change the color. So maybe we can just use that same purple here. And when we hover over it, I'm just going to change the color slightly. So I'm going to just make it lighter. So we have this effect here. That's cool. Now you can also set a background color or gradient for your whole header. So we can just simply select a section and a style. And background, then we can give it a solid color background or a gradient background. So let's just bring gradient. We can just start with a light gray here and end to another gray, a little darker gray. You can just play with these options. Now, I'm not saying this is the best thing you can do. It looks a little old here, I think, but it's really up to you. You can just play with these options here. You can also give it a box shadow. So if I just select border, you can see that we have this box shadow, and I can just give it a slight box shadow like this. So we have many options here to play with. So this is just fine. And now I can just publish my header. And now, as you can see, we have to set the display rule. So you just have to do it for the first time, and then you can just change it. So it's basically asking, where do you want to display this menu? So if you want to replace your default menu with this newly created menu, you can just select entire website, but you can also only use it for your archive page or singular page, or exclude some of pages. So you want to, for example, display it on whole your website and just exclude, for example, your blog page or archive page. We have various options here, but we're just going to display it on our whole website. So I'm just going to click on save and close. And now if I bring my front page, you can see that we have this nice customized menu. So it's fully customized. We have our menu, we have our logo, a background color, and we have our drop down. So that's nice. You can just create various things and various animations. So because you have the full power of Elementor and also the Elementor widgets, you can just create different things. Now, before wrapping up, it's important to test it to see whether it just looks good on all devices. So we can just open it with Elementor to test it, but you can just do it on a browser itself by resizing your browser. And now, as you can see, we have to select this Elementor header to be able to edit the header. So I'm just going to click on Elementor header. And this is the desktop look, which just is cool. But now we can just switch into different devices. So we have this tablet and mobile. And as you can see, it's not looking very good on mobile devices and also tablet. So we have to change some options here, but we can just simply do so. First of all, I want to completely remove this button on mobile devices. We really do not need it. This is an additional button. We can have it here or in other places. So I can just simply select my button here and bring advanced and responsive. And I can just simply hide it on mobile. So we do not get it on mobile devices. This is the first thing I want to do. Then on tablet, we have it, but I just want to just change the layout. So we can just select it and just make it a little smaller. So we can just bring a style and typography and set it into EM, which is better for responsive devices. And we can just have it like this. So this is just fine. We also want to put this menu on the right, so it just comes here. And for the desktop, it's just okay. So now I can just update my changes and visit my website. And as you can see, it's just looking great on different devices. And now we basically have our custom menu. So that's it. That's very easy to create a custom menu with Elementor. And that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for more WordPress content. And like always, you can reach our team from the link in the description.